Okay, so today we're going to do Unit 2, Day 9 notes, which is understanding the slope of a table. Day 9 is for Math 1, but this lesson is also taught in 8th grade. So if you're an 8th grade math student, then for you will be Day 10, okay? But it's still the same notes. So let's go ahead and get started. What is the slope-intercept of a linear function? Well, at this point, you should already know that it's y equals mx plus b. Okay. Now, we already know that the B stands for the y-intercept, where the line crosses the x-axis. Where the line crosses the y-axis. And we also know that the M stands for slope. And we know the slope could be the rise over the run. It means the ratio. It means the rate of constant. Okay. Now remember that the word rate of constant is the same thing as slope. It's just another way. It's a nickname, basically. Now, we know that the negative slope is a decreasing line from left to right. A positive slope means it's an increasing line from left to right. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and start off with number 1. Before we find the slope, like the new way that I'm about to show you, let's just graph this table and see what the slope is going to be, okay? So, -2, 10, -1, 5, 0, 0, 1, 5, 2, -10. So there's my graph. I will use a ruler to connect those dots. And there we go. Now, of course, you know that to find the slope, all you have to do is the rise over the run. So you're going to rise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to run 1. So my slope is +5. Now, let's see if finding the slope from this table gives us the same slope as what we did by graphing it and finding the slope on the graph. Well, the first thing you need to do is to be able to determine the slope of a table, you need to be able to find the pattern of the right side over the pattern of the left side. Okay? Now, what do I mean by the pattern? Okay, well, the way I want you to think about it is start from the very bottom of your table and work backwards. So you want to do the bottom number, subtract the number above it. So we're going to do 10 minus 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. Then you want to do that number, subtract from that one. So 5 minus 0 gives you 5. Now, next number, 0 minus -5 gives you 5. And then this one is -5 minus -10 gives me 5. So that means the right side is 5. Now let's do the other side. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 minus 0 is 1. 0 minus -1 is 1. And -1 minus -2 is 1. Okay, so the pattern of the left side is 1. So that means my slope is 5, which is the same thing I got. Now, the easiest way to remember which side goes where, the right over the left, just remember, rise over run. Look at the top, rise, R-I, is the same thing as RI for right. So rise, right, okay, and then the left at the bottom. Got it? Okay, so moving on. This time, let's do number 2 with the new method. Let's not graph and then try to find the slope. So remember, when you're finding the slope, you know that it's the rise over the run if it's a graph. But because it's a table, we want to do the RI, which is the right over the left. So let's find the pattern of the right side to begin with. So these two numbers, the first number, which is -8, minus the next number, -4. So what's -8 minus -4? It's just -4. Now let's do the next one. -4 minus -2. Your answer should be -2. Next, -2 minus 4. -6. Now, next number, 4 minus 6 is what? -2. Okay. Now, if you notice, I have different numbers over here. We need to find the pattern over here and see if we get the same slope after we simplify. So let's start over here. 3 minus 1 is 2. 1 minus 0 is 1. 0 minus -3 should be +3. And then -3 minus -4 should be 1. Now, let's go ahead and set up our slopes for all of these, okay? So the first slope will be the first 2 bottom patterns that we got. Okay, remember, we got to do the right over the left for all of these. Okay, so we'll start with the first one. -4 on the right side, and the left side is 2. Okay, let's move on to the next one. -2 for the right side, and +1 for the left side. Next one, -6 over 3, and then the last one is -2 over 1. Now, we have all these slopes. We have to see if all these slopes simplify to the same slope or to the same number. So -4 divided by 2 is -2. -2 divided by 1 is -2. -6 divided by 3, -2. -2 divided by 1, -2. So my slope comes out to be -2. Okay? So the slope for this is -2. Okay? Let's flip to the back. Now, I'm not going to do 3 or 4. You may do that on your own. You can graph them as well so you can check your work. But if you have any questions on number 3 or number 4, please do not hesitate to ask me. But we're going to move on to number 5 and number 6. Now for number 5, I would like for you to write the following directions. Is the table linear? Okay. So they're asking me, is the table linear? Okay. And for number 6, I want you to tell me to write down what is the slope. Okay. So let's start with number 5. Is the table linear? Well, let's ask ourselves, what does the word linear mean? Well, the word linear means line. And what are a couple things that we know that a line has? It has a y-intercept and it has a slope. So for us to be able to determine if a table is linear, we need for it to have a slope, because linear or a line has a slope. So if this table has a slope, then it's linear. No slope, not linear. Got it? So let's just go ahead and write this so we will remember. So if we have a slope, it's linear. No slope, no linear. Okay? So let's move on and let's work this out. So of course you should know that the slope is the rise over the run, which is just the right side over the left side. So now, 9 minus 0 is 9. 0 minus negative 3 is 3. Negative 3 minus negative 12 is 9. And I'll double check to make sure. And then the last one is negative 12 minus negative 18 gives me 6, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so now, those are my patterns for the right side. Now let's find the patterns of the left side, okay? 4 minus 1 gives me 3. 1 minus 0 gives me 1. 0 minus negative 3 gives me 3. And then the last one, negative 3 minus negative 5 gives me 2. Okay, so now those are all my patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and set up all my slopes. So the first one is 9 over 3, because remember, right side over the left side. The next one is 3 over 1. Next one is 9 over 3. And then 6 over 2. Now if we simplify all of these numbers down to an individual number, we get 3. So that means the slope is 3. So we said if there's a slope, it's linear. No slope, not linear. So this is considered to be a slope. So we do have a slope. So this table does have, or is linear. So is the table linear? Yes, because we have a slope. Okay. Now, next one, what is the slope? So there's two ways they could ask us to find the slope of something. They could ask us if it's linear, or they can ask us directly, what is the slope? Either way, it will just be easy to find the slope itself from the table, okay? So let's do number 6. So start out by finding the pattern of each side. So we'll start with the first one on the right side. Negative 16 minus negative 8. Okay, so negative 16 minus negative 8, and that gives you negative 8. Next one, negative 8 minus 0. So it'll be negative 8. Then 0 minus 8 gives me negative 8. And then 8 minus 12, so give me negative 4. Okay, that concludes the right side. Now let's take care of the left side. So 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 minus 0, 2. 0 minus negative 2, 2. Negative 2 minus negative 3, 1. Okay, now remember, you do the rise over the run, which is the right over the left, because remember, RI is on the top. So what's the pattern of the right side? Well, we have a whole bunch of numbers. So let's go ahead and set them up. So negative 8 over 2 is the first one. Oh, and it's also the second one and the third one. So do you think I have to write it out 3 times? No. If it's the same identical numbers at the top and the bottom, I only need to write it once. But I do have to write the top slope down because it's different. So these are my two slopes that I came out with from the table. So let's go ahead and simplify. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 1 just becomes negative 4. So my slope is negative 4. Okay. Now, if I were to have asked you, is this table linear? The table is linear, of course, because it has a slope. Now, I know we didn't do a problem where there's no slope, but just know, if there's no slope, you will get different numbers, okay? If we get different numbers, then that means there's no slope. The slope doesn't exist, okay? For it to be consistent, for all to simplify down to the same number, that means it's a slope. If it simplifies to different numbers across the board, it's not a slope. Okay. Of course, if you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to ask me tomorrow in class.